Hello, hello. How are you doing, my fellow fluffy puppies? Oh, if you're new to my channel or have no idea what I'm talking about, quick story behind that is I met a huge giant fluffy puppy and he was so sweet, kind, and adorable, and I love him. And everyone who saw him had the same exact expression of awe and love and wanting to pet the puppy. And I was saying, couldn't we be the fluffy puppies to other creatures like my cat or something else? And it was just like, oh, what if we are the fluffy puppies to like other creatures or spirits or entities? I don't know, but yeah. Of course, as I'm trying to make a video, she wants to chime in. Anyway, I hope you all are having a great, wonderful day again. And in that same playful energy that, I was experiencing like over this weekend, being the big giant fluffy puppy, I was also even reminded of like different manifestation techniques, like imagining yourself as the thing you want, like, oh, if you had this, what would this feel like, what would this look like, what would you do, and stuff like that. And you know isn't it amazing how our imaginations can change our mood so rapidly? um so like this one video I saw, it was like talking about, oh, just take 17 seconds to just like imagine you have $30,000 coming to you. Like it's just coming to you. And just imagine, what would you do with that? Like you don't necessarily have to automatically think of what bills you're going to pay off. I mean, you're more than welcome to, but you can imagine, oh, what would you do for yourself? Like, um, like what are the things you could buy? Like what are the ways maybe you give some of those to people you love? Maybe people you don't love us so much. Maybe you're using the funds to buy to construct a project, any type of project. Maybe it's an art project or construction project, and it's for you, but also at the same time it's a gift because it's also giving people the opportunity to get jobs to do it for you. So it's more than just that kind of thing. And just being in that mindset for like 17 seconds, and after 17 seconds you could just drop the image, because sometimes we get lost in our thoughts, or sometimes it ends up going in a different direction, like, oh, there's no way I can do that. But just take 17 seconds, you kind of get yourself in that vibration. And he's like, do that multiple times a day, do that before going to sleep, and like watch what happens. So leave it up to you guys if you want to try that too. I don't always do if I have $30,000, because most people have 17 seconds throughout the day to just think what that energy would feel like. For me, what was interesting, as I was getting ready to go out, because I had to do a lot of stuff outside, I was thinking about how I'm gonna layer up. So I had this, and then I put on another shirt, and like for me, and like with everything else I was wearing, I'm like, I look like a Jedi. I don't know, the colors of it, like with the white shirt and then seeing this part, it just reminded me of a Jedi. I'm like, oh, I look like a Jedi. And then it's like I showed my husband, he's just like, no, you don't. But I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's what I think. So I was just having fun playing with that for a moment. Like, oh, it's like cool and awesome. And it's like you could take like these super simple little imagination things, and your whole vibe and energy changes. Because, sometimes, you know, people just are following what's following, not necessarily paying attention. It's just like kind of going on automatic, and it's just like and then sometimes, depending with what's around you, your vibe energy might get lower because you're hearing maybe something about politics or family drama stuff, or any myriad of different things, or you're in a place you would really prefer not to be, but you feel like you have to be there, like a job or something like that. And it's just like, hmm, isn't that interesting? If we could just take these few moments a day, just imagining where something else, someone else, or different opportunities or different circumstances have happened. And it's like, I don't think it's really delusional in that sense, or maybe is delusional, and what's wrong with being that kind of delusional? And by no means I'm telling anyone to live beyond their means or anything else, but you can just be in that energy of just imagining what something looks like, or even like imagining like you on a trip, like Where are you going? What are you doing? Who are you meeting? And stuff like that. Because, you never know what the universe is going to bring you in that moment, because it could bring you something far better, or it can give you something completely different that you were not expecting, and it's really more what you needed. Because I'm sure, if you even think about what your life would be like when you were like 15, 17, it's probably very, very different than what it is now. Like, your definitions were different, your expectations were different, your attitude might be very different than like now. And it's like, because when I think back to those days, honestly, like, I had no hopes or aspirations at all, like back in those days, like, because for various different reasons, I just thought, like, okay, get a job, get an apartment, and just be cool with it. Just like, okay. And I'm just like, I never really thought or dreamed of like vacations or finding a partner or like that kind of stuff. Just could not really, I couldn't fathom it at all. Like, it was beyond my imagination really to fathom it when I was like 15, 17. I couldn't even. Now, if my 15-year-old self saw myself now, it'd be very, very different. It's just like, huh, definitely learn different lessons and things. And it's like, okay. Oh, it reminds me of that saying. Oh, I don't know the exact saying, but it's just like, oh, you put childish things aside. When you become an adult, you put childish things aside. Like, I can't remember the exact thing. But, it's not, I think where some people, at least with me, I'll just say for me, and I assume some people, because I doubt I'm the only one who might have thought of this way. But it's like, oh, like the childish actions and stuff like that. I think some of it is just like, it's not necessarily we need to be less childlike, because that's kind of what I thought. Like, oh, I need to be adult and make better decisions and blah, 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 which part of it is true. But like, we still want to keep a part of that, like, innocence and playfulness and creativity, because I feel like, at least in my reality, I know as many people lose that as they get older, and sometimes it can be challenging to reclaim that for some. And it's just like, how can we take the lessons that we learned but still keep that childlikeness with us? Because yes, we had all these different definitions as a child. Now we have expanded how we view things. We can't limit ourselves to those same definitions that we had before, given the new circumstances. So I think that's what that quote was more about. Sorry, I can't exactly remember exactly that quote, but I think y'all know what I mean about it. And I just find that really interesting. So, people oftentimes will, like, I'll take conventions because I love the idea of cosplay. Oh, I love it. It's just like, it's fun. And, because it's one of the reasons I also liked Halloween, because you can get dressed up. And unfortunately, with Halloween, like, I have learned a little bit more about different origins of Halloweens, because it's All Hallows Eve, preparing for like All Saints Day, and many different cultures celebrates in different ways. I feel like, unfortunately, in our American westernized culture, especially with women, everyone wants to, ugh, I'm trying to think of a polite way of saying this. But yeah, I'm having trouble of a polite way of saying this, but let's just say that some women have a tendency of wanting to do costumes, but in a very provocative type of way. And if y'all want to dress up like that, that's totally on you. That's your decision, your body. Do what you want. That ain't none of my business. But it's just like, why do you need to always dress in that provocative type of way? And yes, you also see that in conventions too, but not as well. It depends. But I feel like in Halloween, it's just like all bets are off, and it's like, and I'm just like, oh my. It's a bit much for me. That's just my own personal thing. I mean, yes, you also do see it at conventions too, but I think on Halloween you see it a bit more. Well, I guess it kind of depends because with conventions, a lot of the characters they make for fan service, the costumes, and it's just like, oh my. But there's also many costumes that are not as provocative and like awesome because there are these talented people. I really find it talented because I don't know how to sew. Like I learned sewing when I was like in junior high when it was part of economics class. I don't know how to do it anymore. But people with the sewing and the intricacy, and then they'll get foam, or depending how thing they'll use um metal, depending what it is, and it's art. Like it's like artistic ones, like the wigs and the makeup and things. Like I think it's so much fun that like you could really deep dive deep in your hobby, and you like put together like your costume, your mask, and everything, and you like become that character. And I just think it is so much fun. And you know, you see some people like even like with the moving parts, like moving wings, or like some people like have electronic stuff attached to them, and it's like oh cool. Or like some people like transforming like the Transformers things. I'm like, oh my god, that is so cool. And like you have all these people like expressing like their joy of this genre. I just think it's so much fun. I unfortunately don't do conventions as much now just because where I live, conventions like they're I'm at a major hub of conventions. They're no longer small. They're like, okay, we have to walk around the building before we could go inside. That's how long the line is. And then when you're inside, you're dealing with crowds and crowds of people that you're touching each other all the time. And it's a lot. It's a lot. It's not like Japan, where like Japan, there could be a lot of people, but there's a sense of organization and space and kind of respectfulness type of stuff. It's like, nah, I live in America. It's just like, oh, I'm overwhelmed and there's too many things going on. It's interesting, Japan, even though there's like so many people, especially in Tokyo, I never felt overwhelmed. Even like, dealing, well, I didn't go out during the rush hour times, like, because I know as a tourist, like, don't go out during rush hour. Like, let people get to their jobs. I can do what I want after people go to work. I think that's good etiquette, at least for me. Like, I'll go out after people go to their jobs. But anyway, but some of the conventions by me are just, they're so packed, so many people, and then they keep adding buildings upon buildings to do, oh, these other things. So it's like the convention isn't even in one building anymore. It's like in all these different buildings and different blocks. It's like you can't see everything. And then like, okay, maybe you go to one panel, but then you want to see the people in that panel. They have a table there. And then if they're doing a special thing where they want to hang out, go there afterwards. But then everyone's streaming. It's intense. I can't even imagine San Diego Comic Con. Because, I've seen videos and stuff, but I'm like, that's even blocks. I'm like, how do you even enjoy yourself? It's similar in Japan where it's like LineCon. You're just always online. Because I remember the last time I went to a convention, we spent over, we spent like an hour and a half online, and we didn't even get halfway to the point yet. And it's just like, I don't want to be online anymore. And eventually we all just got sick and tired of it and just left online. Because I think the celebrities they had, they were going to be leaving the booth soon. And it's just like, and we rushed right from the panel saying, oh, they're going to be at their thing. So we like, as soon as the panel ended, we rushed over there. We were still waiting like an hour, hour and a half. We weren't even halfway through. And I think some of them are getting ready to leave. And it's just like, yeah. So I think smaller cons would be good to go to. Like some of the big ones, I'm just too overwhelmed. And it was cool when I actually used to work a few cons because I thought that was fun because I saw a job listing. It's like, oh yeah, you do it for a couple days. Oh, I loved it. Even though sometimes the work can be very challenging, but having an exhibitor pass is the best because you get to go in early, you get to stay behind later, you have your badge, so you don't have to worry about anything. Oh, it was. oh, it was so great because I got to look around a few things. Because, in booths, especially if you're there, because, typically, like, well, you know, the ones I went to were like 4 days. So people would leave some of their stuff at the booths overnight and stuff like that. And then you arrive early, you get to arrive much earlier than the regular people coming in. So, you know, I would take a quick look around of things. I'm like, oh, okay, like I gotta keep in mind, come back for here and da 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 da. But now it's just like it's overcrowded. I'm like, it's too much. But coming back to my main point with playing and creativity and cosplays, I've only done very simple cosplays. Some of them a little bit by accident. I'm like, oh, I kind of look like this character, and let's just roll with it. But I just think it's so fun that you can just imagine yourself, even if it's for a day or for a couple hours, it's like, why not? And you're also surrounded with people who have similar interests with you. You might find people that love what you're doing, especially at cons. They like to take pictures with you, like, okay, take a picture. It's like, sure. Maybe you're in a contest, like, oh, for the best costume. I just think it's so much fun that we could just take a step out of our quote unquote normal routines and just like do something that we really enjoy and fun. Yeah, I just think it's great. And I would love to do it again. I would love to cosplay more, but it's like there's also the perfectionist in me, like I need it to look exactly perfect, even if it's I want it to look perfect. So I would love to do it, but I don't know if it's really high on my level of excitement. Where it's just like, oh yeah, I need to learn how to sew. I need to put this together. I need to learn how to make everything myself because when you make it yourself, typically it tends to be better than what you buy from the store. Well, depending how much effort and work you put into it and stuff like that. But, you know, just having that frame of mind of just, oh my God, this is so fun. And then I'm surrounded by other people that think this is fun. And you could be inspiring other people and just having fun. Like, oh, one of my favorite things, um, I was at a con and I saw Chewy. This was like Chewy, like, I don't know if this guy was on stilts. He was like over six, maybe 6.5 feet tall. I don't know, but Chewy, like Chewy. So I'm like, oh, can I take a picture with you? And like, yeah. And then a storm, then a stormtrooper came by. Then another stormtrooper. Then there was a Wobba Fett. I'm like, so I handed over the real picture. I was like Wobba Fett stormtroopers and Chewie. That was not even intentional. That was gonna happen. So like you never know. It's like, oh, I just asked for one picture, one character. Then oh, suddenly all people came in. Oh, another story I could probably share with you. This is probably a really fun one. Um, I was there and I was at a con, and I saw some people I knew. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And someone's telling me like, oh, like they tell me on the hush hush because these were people I knew in college, so I haven't seen everyone in a while, and I'm, like there's some people who talk regularly to each other and some who don't. And it's like, and it's like, oh, like something's gonna happen soon. You should watch. I'm like, what's happening? And like it was going to be like one of those flash mob things. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And you know, I was just like, so I was telling, it's like, oh, we gotta stick around. Like something's happening soon. Because it was weird because I saw so many people I knew. I was just like, wait a minute, what's going on? And then next thing I know, they're doing the flash mob stuff. And then one of the guys proposes to his now wife. I was like, oh, because he was dressed as Ash and he had the ring and a Pokeball. Pikachu on his shoulder. It was just so cute. I think it was even mentioned as one of most memorable marriage proposals, especially at conventions and stuff like that. And it was just, and I had no idea what was happening. I'm like, wait, I know a lot of these people here. Why is everyone lingering around here? What's going on? So if you've never been to a convention before, I mean, and if you like conventions like comic books and anime, there's all different types. I mean, feel free to check them out. Like you'll see people so into their crafts and you see people from all walks of life. like doing stuff like this because it's just like, yeah, it's fun. I mean, people have various different hobbies, and you never know what's gonna happen necessarily. Because I was not expecting to see a flash pop marriage proposal. I just saw a bunch of people I knew. I'm like, what's going on? Or like randomly, like epic things happen because you want to take a picture with someone. Then it's like, ooh, I have a Star Wars cast with me. And you can't plan these moments necessarily. They just kind of sometimes happen. So you just have to be open and be that creative energy play. And so when you like you think back to like the 17 seconds of just like, what if ABC, rather it's having this much money or this type of vacation or whatever, it's just like the most important thing is to, after you're imagining everything, like after the 17 seconds, or if you need to go a little bit longer than that, whatever. But that video, they just said 17. But after that, this is what I heard from Bashar, which made more sense to me because when I've had other teachers or I listen to other things, it's like you want to really visualize, but and stuff like that. But the thing is, sometimes you get caught up in the visualization that if something doesn't work exactly how it's supposed to work, something must be wrong. Because that's our default. Like, if it's not showing up, what am I doing wrong? Is the default. So the thing that became clear to me that I finally understood, probably my other teachers had the little seeds of telling me it, but I just didn't realize it until I heard Bashar say it. But it's just like, after you have that energy, that feeling of it, drop it. Drop the picture. Drop it. Drop it like it's hot. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. But you want to drop it because you don't know what the universe has prepared for you. Maybe it's giving you something better than what you pictured, but just get in the feeling, the vibration of that. So I'm just like, okay, like that was very clear to me. So if you're going to do, whatever manifestation, visualization you're doing, you got to learn to drop it. And sometimes that's a little challenging, especially because you want to insist that things work out a certain way. And if anything, if you take the example of what you were like back at 15, 17, life did not go according to plan. And it's probably much for the better, because if my life went according to plan when I was 15, 17, I would have been a very dull, boring adult who didn't do anything really, because, I didn't have much dreams or aspirations back then. I just wanted to get by and survive. That's all I could really think about. So, yeah, rather you're 17 seconds or 30 seconds, I think just being able to play with visualizing something you want, I think that's fun and a good idea. All right, until next time. Bye.